You won't believe what my own son did just 1 week after my husband's funeral. At 71, grieving and vulnerable, I was told to pack up and leave the home I built for over 3 decades. But what they didn't know is that my late husband had a plan, and it changed everything. Stick around. This story isn't just about betrayal. It's about revenge served legally. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica, the storyteller on the Family Tales channel. Here, I'll share stories about love, conflicts, betrayal, and infidelity within American families. These stories offer a deep look into relationships and the challenges families face. Stay tuned and explore with me. If you love emotional stories and want to uncover the hidden secrets in families, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our videos. With your husband gone, it's time to mourn, gather your belongings, and move on, my daughter-in-law stated during dinner. My son simply smiled and nodded in agreement. The home was never truly yours to begin with. I left without saying a thing. The following day, I visited the bank, and I'm pleased to have you with me. Join me on this journey until the very end and share the city you're tuning in from so I can discover just how far my story has traveled. The dining room had an unmistakable emptiness in Noel's absence. The mahogany table, once the centerpiece of countless family dinners, now felt oversized and hollow, even with the 3 of us gathered around it. I found myself repeatedly looking at his vacant chair, anticipating the warmth of his gentle smile and the soothing aura he brought with him. It was precisely 1 week since we laid to rest my husband of 32 years. It had been a week since I stood at his graveside, a moment that felt like a piece of my very soul had been torn from me. The weight of grief lingered in my chest, turning each breath into a struggle.
"Pass the potatoes, Myrtle," Romy commanded, her voice slicing through the air like a razor. My daughter-in-law had always maintained a cool demeanor with me, but tonight felt distinctly different, marked by an unmistakable chill. I extended my hand toward the serving bowl, a subtle tremor still coursing through my fingers. The funeral took more out of me than I had anticipated. At 71, I believed I was ready for this moment, yet nothing could have equipped me for the emptiness that now shadows my every step. Wade, our 43-year-old son, positioned himself between us, resembling a referee who had clearly made his choice. He hardly glanced my way all night. He devoted his full attention to his wife of 15 years. The little boy who once sought comfort in my embrace during his nightmares now avoided my gaze entirely. The service was truly exquisite, don't you think? I made a suggestion, attempting to break the awkward silence.
Your father would have truly cherished witnessing such a gathering of people. Romy placed her fork down with careful intention. Absolutely, that's precisely what we need to talk about with you, Myrtle. Her tone sent a tight knot of unease spiraling in my stomach. I glanced between her and Wade, seeking any hint of the warmth that ought to be present among family members who had just experienced a loss together. What I encountered was a chilling calculation in Romy's gaze, paired with an unsettling evasion from my son. "Could you clarify what you mean?" I inquired, even as a part of me braced for the response I feared. Romy sat up straight in her chair, adopting the commanding stance she reserved for issuing ultimatums. I had encountered this before, typically when she was justifying why Wade couldn't come to see me as frequently, or why family traditions had to shift to suit her preferences. "Wade and I have been discussing," she started, her tone adopting that sugary charm she reserved for when she had a request to make. "With Noel gone, managing this house on your own is going to be quite a challenge." My eyes fluttered open, a wave of confusion washing over me. Is it excessive? For more than 3 decades, I've been at the helm of this home, intimately familiar with every creaky floorboard and every finicky faucet. "Indeed, that's precisely the issue," Romy remarked, her facade of friendliness faltering just a bit. "Time waits for no one, and the costs of keeping up a home of this magnitude can add up quickly. Wade and I believe it would be ideal for you to relocate to a more fitting place." The words struck me with the force of a physical blow. Have you relocated? Welcome to my sanctuary. Noel and I created our home here. Wade spent his formative years in this very place. Wade finally found his voice, though it was little more than a whisper. Mom, Romy has a point. Managing all of this will likely become too much for you. I'm not helpless, Wade, I asserted, my voice wavering just a bit. This house is truly remarkable. Your father and I dedicated years of hard work and savings to acquire this home. Each room is a testament to the memories we've shared, yet Romy's expression grew stern. Fond memories won't cover your utility bills or property taxes. Stay grounded, Myrtle. I gazed at her, the woman who had methodically removed me from my son's life for the past 15 years. The woman who persuaded Wade that Sunday dinners with his mother were overwhelming and that holiday visits should be evenly distributed between families, which somehow always translated to more time spent with her relatives. What precisely are you proposing? I inquired, even as I sensed the response crystallizing within me, cold and heavy. You really ought to consider one of those lovely senior communities, Romy suggested, her tone implying she was offering me a great opportunity, a place buzzing with activities and filled with peers your age. You'll find it far more enjoyable than wandering through this vast, empty house. I glanced at Wade, my heart racing as I searched for any indication that he opposed this plan. Wade, do you genuinely believe I should put the house where you grew up on the market? Where are your father and I? It's logical, Mom, he cut in, avoiding my gaze. Romy and I could really benefit from having some extra space. We've been discussing the idea of growing our family, and this house offers incredible possibilities. The significance of his words hit me like a chilling wave. It wasn't just about getting rid of me. They had their eyes set on my home. The home that Noel and I meticulously transformed room by room over the span of 30 years. With the passing of Sogro, embrace your sorrow, gather your belongings, and move forward without looking back. Romy's voice abruptly shed any semblance of politeness. The home was never truly yours to begin with. The Spanish term for father-in-law slipped from her lips with a nonchalant edge, as though she were casually talking about getting rid of outdated furniture rather than discarding her husband's mother. Wade glanced up, and for an instant I caught a glimpse of something shimmering in his eyes. Ambiguity, perhaps tinged with remorse. Then a smile spread across his face as he nodded in agreement. You're absolutely correct, Mom. This house belonged to Dad, and now it's in my hands. You were simply residing here. My entire reality shifted simply by being here. After 32 years of marriage, of creating a life together and nurturing a family, it feels as though it all boils down to nothing more than a prolonged stint of house-sitting. The lingering scent of his cologne filled the room, and his reading glasses remained on the nightstand, just as he had left them the night before his heart attack. I perched on the edge of our bed, gazing intently at my reflection in the dresser mirror. The woman gazing back at me appeared to be beyond her 71 years, her silver hair lifeless and her blue eyes clouded by shock and sorrow. In just 2 weeks, I will be departing from this room, the very place where I bid farewell to Noel only 7 days prior. I'm faced with the daunting task of packing 32 years of marriage into boxes, relinquishing it all to a son who just expressed that I never truly belonged here in the first place. As I lingered in the encroaching shadows, an unexpected sensation began to rise beneath the layers of sorrow and disbelief, a compact, resilient core of resolve. Noel was always the one in charge of our finances, but he instilled in me the importance of being meticulous and attentive to every detail. Tomorrow, I will begin making arrangements. I would reach out to the bank and start the journey of determining precisely what I was entitled to. If Wade and Romy believe they can simply remove me from this family without facing any repercussions, they are in for quite the shock. I had to start by grasping precisely what Noel had bequeathed and to whom it was entrusted. The morning sun poured through the kitchen windows, casting a warm glow as I sat at the breakfast table, savoring my second cup of coffee in solitude. 10 days had gone by since that dreadful dinner, and the house seemed to be holding its breath, anticipating my departure. Wade and Romy had visited twice to evaluate the space, meticulously measuring rooms and discussing renovations, seemingly unaware of my presence. Yesterday, I caught a snippet of Romy's conversation with a contractor, arranging estimates for when the old woman vacates the premises. For 10 days, I found myself trapped in a peculiar haze of detachment, methodically sifting through possessions while attempting to suppress the tightening knot of anxiety churning in my stomach. This morning, I finally felt prepared to tackle the practical matters that Noel would have anticipated me managing. The journey to First National Bank was a quick 15-minute ride through the well-known streets of our neighborhood. For more than 20 years, I had been making this same drive, often with Noel beside me in the passenger seat, managing our banking affairs while I sat patiently in the car. He had always taken charge of our finances, not out of distrust, but because he believed it would ease my mind. In hindsight, I realize I should have focused more closely. Mrs. Patterson, the bank manager, welcomed me with a measured compassion typically reserved for those who have recently lost a loved one. Mrs. Henderson, I was deeply saddened to learn about Noel. He truly embodied the essence of a gentleman, consistently inquiring about my grandchildren. Thank you, Helen. He had warm words to share about you as well. I took my seat in the chair opposite her desk, gripping my purse firmly in my lap. I need to gain clarity on my financial situation. Noel took care of everything, and I must admit I'm feeling a bit out of my depth. Helen's expression transformed, radiating a sense of understanding. Absolutely, allow me to access your accounts. With a swift motion, she faced her computer, her fingers dancing across the keyboard. After a brief pause, her eyebrows lifted ever so slightly. Wow, really? Is everything okay? My heart raced. Could it be that Wade and Romy had already infiltrated our accounts? Not entirely incorrect, to be precise. There are definitely a number of accounts here. Exceeded my expectations. There was a hint of astonishment in Helen's voice. Let's begin with the joint checking account that you and Noel utilized for household expenses. With a smooth motion, she printed the statement and elegantly slid it across the desk. The balance struck a pleasing harmony, offering both modesty and comfort, sufficient to manage my expenses for a few months, provided I exercise caution. A wave of relief washed over me. At the very least, I wouldn't find myself in dire straits. Helen went on to say that there is also a savings account held in both of your names. A new sheet of paper materialized. This balance was notably greater, sufficient to support me for years if needed. That's fantastic, I remarked, sensing the tension begin to melt away from my shoulders. Noel consistently prioritized saving with great care. Indeed, he approached everything with a meticulous mindset, Helen concurred. Yet her gaze remained fixed on the screen, a frown etched across her face, Mrs. Henderson, I have come across several other accounts that require verification. It seems that some are listed solely in your name. Have you taken the time to review your entire financial portfolio with Noel recently? Just my name? I repeated, perplexed. That doesn't seem accurate. Noel took charge of our financial management. Helen's fingers danced across the keyboard once more. Our records indicate that there are 4 more accounts. 2 CDs, a money market account, and intriguingly, a trust account that was set up 5 years ago. My head started to whirl. I'm not quite clear on that. Noel never brought any of this up with me. Could I inquire if your husband has ever voiced any concerns regarding your family situation? Clients occasionally create separate accounts to safeguard their interests. I was taken by surprise by the question. Safeguarding? What are we talking about?
I'm unclear about your meaning." Helen paused, clearly weighing her words with intention.
In certain situations, when clients face intricate family dynamics, such as worries about inheritance conflicts or outside influences, they often take proactive measures to safeguard their spouse's financial well-being. I've been reflecting on Noel's behavior from the last few years. He began to pose incisive questions regarding Romy's spending habits. He became increasingly silent each time Wade brought up their financial difficulties. He was adamant about managing all our banking on his own, never permitting Wade to join him, even when our son expressed a desire to help. "Could you provide me with information regarding these additional accounts?" I inquired, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. Helen produced several additional pages. The initial CD has been renewing each year for the past 7 years. The second one opened its doors 3 years ago. Your joint checking account has been set up to automatically transfer funds to your money market account. Minimal quantities, small amounts of $50 add up over time. She presented the statements to me. The figures danced before my vision. These were substantial emergency funds. These were significant sums of money, sufficient funds to purchase a home, sufficient to enjoy a comfortable lifestyle for many years to come. "What makes this possible?" I inquired. "I did not provide my signature on any documents. I have never. In fact, you did." With a soft touch, Helen retrieved a file folder. "All the paperwork bears your signatures. Noel likely brought you in to sign some documents, suggesting they were just routine banking updates or insurance forms." I gazed intently at the documents she presented to me. I found my signature, complete with a date and witnesses, on documents I had no recollection of signing. Upon reviewing the dates, I was able to identify some of them. The day we arrived to update our address following the change in house numbers.
"It's time to transition to a new kind of checking account." He never revealed the true nature of what I was signing. I spoke softly. "It's quite usual." Helen spoke with caution. "Certain partners choose to manage the specifics to prevent any unnecessary stress or confusion. Rest assured, everything is completely above board and in full compliance with the law. Your accounts are truly yours." I attempted to understand the implications of this. As Wade and Romy meticulously measured my kitchen and strategized their renovation plans, as they regarded me as a weight to be cast aside, I possessed resources they were completely unaware of. Helen added, "There's one more thing." Her voice took on an even more cautious tone now. "The trust account I referred to. For the last 5 years, it has consistently received transfers from a business account, introducing the Henderson Construction Trust. Was that your husband's company, if I may ask?" "Absolutely." Noel decided to sell the business upon his retirement. Wade mentioned that the proceeds from the sale were hardly sufficient to settle his debts. Helen glanced at her screen once more. "Our records indicate that the business account remains active. Consistent deposits have been made, followed by transfers to your trust account. Mrs. Henderson, it would be beneficial for you to have a conversation with the business accountant. Your financial landscape might hold surprises you haven't yet uncovered." As I stepped out of the bank, I felt a swirl of confusion, my purse weighed down by a collection of account statements and printouts. Rather than heading directly home, I decided to stop at a quaint cafe's parking lot, where I settled in my car to peruse all the materials Helen had provided. The figures spoke for themselves. Unbeknownst to me, Noel had been quietly safeguarding my well-being all along. Each account, every investment, and all trust funds were meticulously designed to guarantee my financial independence. While examining the trust account statements, I noticed a distinct pattern unfolding. The deposits aligned perfectly with Wade's visits throughout the last 5 years. Consistently, there were increased sums following Wade's requests for minor loans from his father, or when Romy subtly referenced their financial difficulties. Noel had been providing our son with money while also safeguarding an equal or greater sum for me.
It was as if he had anticipated a day when I would need to find my own footing. A text from Wade made my phone buzz. "Mom, Romy has secured a realtor to put the house on the market. We're ready to kick things off and showcase it next week. Wishing you success in your search for the perfect place." I gazed at the message for what felt like an eternity, then shifted my attention back to the bank statements resting in my lap. Wade and Romy exuded confidence, fully convinced they had the upper hand. Unbeknownst to them, their meticulously crafted plans rested on a foundation they failed to comprehend. I will reach out to the business accountant tomorrow. I would uncover precisely what else Noel had abandoned. In that moment, I would contemplate how to embrace the knowledge that my husband had cared for me deeply, ensuring I would never find myself at the mercy of another. The sorrow lingered, as vivid and piercing as it had always been. Yet beneath the surface, another force was quietly taking shape, a serene power I hadn't experienced in years. Morrison Associates' accounting office was nestled in a quaint strip mall conveniently located between a dry cleaner and a tax preparation service. This was my first time here. Noel consistently took charge of the business meetings, insisting that the tedious paperwork would only lead to a headache for me. At that moment, I realized he had been shielding me from far more than mere boredom. Margaret Morrison appeared to be around my age, her steel-grey hair neatly secured in a practical bun and her kind eyes framed by wire-rimmed glasses. For more than 15 years, she had been managing the books at Henderson Constructions, and when I called yesterday, her expression was meticulously neutral. "Mrs. Henderson," she said, motioning to a chair positioned across from her chaotic desk. "To begin, I want to express my heartfelt sympathies. Noel was a man of integrity and a reputable businessman. I will truly miss our quarterly meetings. Thanks a lot. I wish I could claim to have known him in business as intimately as you did." I sank into the chair, my fresh bank statements securely nestled in my purse. "I'm looking to get a clearer picture of our financial situation, and the bank brought up some ongoing business income that I didn't know about." Margaret's eyebrows arched ever so slightly. "Oh, you didn't know? That is extraordinary. Noel frequently mentioned you, and I took that as a given." Her voice faded, as if she was weighing her thoughts anew. "I would appreciate some clarity on the recent events. According to my son, the business was sold years back and only just managed to settle its debts." "Is it sold?" Margaret appeared truly perplexed. "Mrs. Henderson, Henderson Construction remains unsold. The structure was revised." She faced her computer, accessing the files with purpose. 5 years ago, Noel placed the company assets into a trust known as the Henderson Construction Trust. You are designated as the primary beneficiary. The room appeared to lean ever so slightly. "I own a construction company. The trust holds ownership, and you are the owner of the trust. It has truly achieved remarkable success. Your husband exercised great caution regarding the contracts he took on following the restructuring. Consistent work with dependable clients ensures a steady income, avoiding the unpredictable highs and lows of larger commercial projects." She produced multiple pages and passed them to me. "Here are the profit and loss statements from the last 5 years. The company has demonstrated a steady stream of revenue generation." As I gazed at the figures, a slight tremor coursed through my hands. The yearly profits were impressive, clearly justifying the consistent deposits reflected in the trust account statements. "But Noel has retired," I said softly. He had stopped working. He distanced himself from the daily operations, yet he continued to oversee and manage the broader strategic decisions. "The construction work has been expertly overseen by Tom Bradley. I'm sure you're familiar with him, right?" I gave a nod. For more than 2 decades, Tom dedicated his career to Noel, beginning as a young apprentice and steadily climbing the ranks to become foreman.
He attended the funeral, standing out as one of the few who appeared truly heartbroken. For the past 5 years, Tom has been at the helm of the company, Margaret continued. Noel designed a system where Tom earns a percentage of the profits as a performance bonus, ensuring his motivation and loyalty remain high. This arrangement has proven to be highly successful. What was the reason Noel didn't share any of this with me? The question emerged as little more than a whisper. Margaret paused, her discomfort evident. Mrs. Henderson, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but Noel expressed some worries regarding family pressures. He noted that your son has been facing financial challenges and that his wife has a penchant for luxury. Noel was concerned that if the family discovered the ongoing business income, it could lead to expectations and demands that might jeopardize future security. The elements were aligning with striking precision. Each time Wade approached his father for a loan, and every time Romy remarked on our apparent comfort, Noel was meticulously figuring out how to assist our son while safeguarding my future independence. He was shielding me, I stated, the words laden with understanding. He was safeguarding both of you in unique ways, Margaret said softly. The loans extended to Wade throughout the years were significant, yet they were sourced from the business operating account rather than your personal assets, and he took great care to ensure that all documentation was meticulously maintained. She retrieved yet another file folder. Here are the copies of all the loan agreements between the business and your son. Noel was adamant about handling them as formal business dealings, complete with payment plans and interest rates. With trembling hands, I opened the folder, a continuous stream of loan documents, each meticulously signed by both Noel and Wade. The figures were astonishing, reaching into the tens of thousands of dollars over the last 5 years, allegedly for Wade's diverse business pursuits and investments. Is Wade current on his loan payments? I inquired, even though I had a hunch about what the response would be. Margaret's expression shifted to one of discomfort. The payment schedule indicates notable outstanding balances. As of last month, the total outstanding balance, including accumulated interest, stands at around $87,000. The number struck me with the force of a physical blow. Wade was in debt to the family business, my business, for nearly $90,000, all the while asserting that his father had left behind nothing but financial burdens. What is the fate of these loan obligations now? I inquired. The transfer occurs alongside the business assets. As the newly appointed owner of the trust, you possess the legal authority to request payment or modify the terms according to your preferences. As I reflected on Wade and Romy, I envisioned them measuring my kitchen, strategizing their renovations, and deliberating on the ideal time to begin showcasing the house. They exuded confidence, fully convinced that they were entitled to all that Noel had created. Margaret's voice took on a more measured tone as she added, "There's one more thing you should know. Just last month, your son reached out to me personally. He announced that following his father's passing, he would assume control of the business affairs. He requested that I prepare the documents for the transfer of ownership. What's next? I informed him that I would require written authorization from the trust beneficiary on your behalf. He appeared taken aback by your involvement in the business structure. Wade had been scheming to take over the business and the house, thinking I was too overwhelmed and unsuspecting to grasp the reality of the situation. The betrayal pierced my heart in ways I never imagined it could. Margaret, I have something private I need to discuss with you. Is it feasible to keep the existing business structure with Tom still overseeing operations? Certainly. Tom has been eagerly awaiting your response. In fact, he's worried about the direction of the company and the stability of his position. If you choose to uphold the current situation, you'll discover that he is exceptionally dependable and appreciative of the chance to persist. I collected all the papers, my thoughts swirling with the weight of what I had discovered. I owned the business. The significant debt that Wade had amassed was both tangible and legally binding.
Unbeknownst to him and Romy, their carefully crafted plans rested on a shaky foundation of deceit and misguided beliefs. I would like to arrange a meeting with Tom at the earliest convenience. I would like to explore all of my options concerning the outstanding loans. Absolutely.
Should I give Tom a call this afternoon? Absolutely, yes. And Margaret, I would be grateful if we could keep this conversation under wraps for the time being. Certainly. In this industry, client confidentiality is paramount. While I was driving home, my phone vibrated with yet another message from Romy. Myrtle, the realtor, is looking to book a photographer for tomorrow. Ensure the home is spotless and free of clutter. Initial impressions are crucial for prospective buyers. I gazed at the message for what felt like an eternity before slipping my phone back into my pocket, choosing silence over a reply. Allow them to organize their photography session. Invite them to envision their future within my home, indulging in the wealth they believed was theirs by inheritance. Unbeknownst to them, the very foundation of their dreams was on the verge of collapse.
That evening, I found myself in Noel's study for the first time since his passing, enveloped by the meticulously arranged files he had left behind. It became clear to me why he had been so diligent in maintaining records, why he had emphasized the importance of thorough documentation for each transaction. He was constructing a fortress around me, layer by layer, deal by deal. Tomorrow, I will begin to discover just how resilient those walls truly are. Tom Bradley's calloused hands cradled his coffee mug as we settled in my kitchen the following morning. At 55, he possessed the broad shoulders and calloused palms of a lifelong builder, yet his eyes revealed a wariness I had never encountered before. "Mrs. Henderson, I must be truthful with you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I've been deeply concerned ever since Mr. Noel's passing. Last week, Wade visited the job site to discuss asset evaluation and operational efficiency. It didn't bode well for people like me." I filled my cup with coffee once more, relying on the comforting ritual to calm my nerves. "Tom, could you clarify what my son shared with you? The family is currently facing financial challenges, necessitating some tough decisions regarding the business. He requested a comprehensive list detailing all our existing contracts, equipment, and cash flow forecasts." Tom clenched his jaw. He inquired about the keys for both the equipment yard and the office. "So what did you share with him?" "I need to speak with the person currently in charge. Mr. Noel consistently advised me that should anything occur to him, I must await clear guidance from the rightful owner." Tom locked eyes with me. He never claimed it would be Wade. A wave of relief washed over me. Noel had meticulously planned for this situation, designating Tom as the protector of the business, instead of just transferring control to anyone who asserted dominance. "Tom, I have something important to discuss with you, and I need your assurance that this conversation remains confidential for the time being." His demeanor shifted to one of gravity. "It's in your possession, ma'am." I laid out the documents that Margaret had handed to me yesterday. "I am the owner of Henderson Construction. Definitely not Wade, not the property, myself. Noel established a trust 5 years ago, and I am the designated beneficiary." Tom's eyes grew wide as he examined the documents. "Well, I must say, I'm quite surprised. Excuse my frankness, ma'am, but Mr. Noel consistently operated with a foresight that was 3 steps ahead." "Absolutely, he was. The records indicate that the business has thrived under your leadership." A wave of pride swept across Tom's face. "We have established a strong reputation, Mrs. Henderson. Reliable clients, exceptional craftsmanship, competitive pricing. Mr. Noel instilled in me the invaluable lesson that loyal customers hold greater worth than any one-time windfall. Please keep going just as you have been," I requested. "However, I must clarify something. Wade has not been completely truthful regarding the family's financial circumstances. Could you share any discussions you've had with him concerning business affairs?" Tom's expression shifted to one of deep concern. Numerous instances have occurred throughout the years. He would drop by during Mr. Knowles' absence, inquiring about cash flow and seeking details on forthcoming client payments. On a few occasions, he proposed that the business might consider providing some temporary funding to seize investment opportunities. So, what did you share with him? He would have to discuss it with his father. I'm not foolish, Mrs. Henderson. I was able to observe the unfolding events. Tom's voice took on a sharper edge. He made an appearance at the bank on the very day we deposited a significant payment from the Morrison office building project last year. It was merely a coincidence, he remarked. He was quite eager to discuss the deposit with the teller. A tightness gripped my stomach. Wade was keeping a close eye on the business income, likely aiming to align his loan requests with peak cash availability. Tom, I have a question for you, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Do you believe Wade truly grasps the extent of the financial flow within this business? Tom paused in silence, deep in thought. It seems he has an inkling that there's more beneath the surface than what your family has revealed, yet I doubt he grasps the complete picture. Mr. Knoll took great care to maintain a clear distinction between his business and personal finances, at least in documentation. Could you clarify what you mean? Your husband certainly made a clever move. Whenever Wade sought assistance, Mr. Knoll would explain that the business was facing challenges and that profit margins were slim. Yet he always managed to lend a hand, often opting for a loan from the business account instead of dipping into his personal finances. Tom retrieved his well-loved small notebook, its pages frayed from years of dedicated use. I meticulously monitor all details. Mrs. Henderson, Mr. Knoll instilled this habit in me. My records indicate that Wade has received approximately $93,000 in payments over the last 5 years. The figure exceeded what Margaret had previously revealed to me. Are you looking for information on payments? Are there no loans available? That's precisely what I mean when I say Mr. Knoll is exceptionally intelligent. He would formalize them as loans on paper, complete with payment schedules and all the necessary details. However, he never truly upheld the payment terms. Wade might miss a payment, and Mr. Knoll would simply overlook it. Wade believes he has no obligations. Tom pointed out that Wade behaves as if he has no obligations. I can't determine if he genuinely believes it or if he's merely putting on an act. Just as our discussion reached a peak, the unmistakable sound of a car door slamming echoed from the driveway. From the vantage of the kitchen window, I spotted Wade's Honda Pilot nestled behind Tom's work truck. "That's my son," I whispered softly. I prefer he remains unaware that we've been discussing business matters. Tom nodded and swiftly collected the papers I had presented to him. "Mrs. Henderson, no matter what path you choose, you can count on my unwavering support. Mr. Knoll was a remarkable individual who placed his complete trust in you by putting everything in your name. That works perfectly for me." Wade entered the room unannounced. It was a detail that might have annoyed Knoll, yet I had come to embrace it over time. "Morning, Mom," he said, giving Tom only a fleeting look. Company was the last thing on my mind. Tom dropped in to see how I was doing. I replied with ease. He has consistently shown such thoughtfulness. Wade's gaze drifted, his eyes sweeping over the kitchen as if he were assessing it for a potential sale. "I'm really pleased to see you here, Tom. It's time to discuss the current state of the business." Tom's face settled into a carefully crafted mask of neutrality. "With Dad's absence, we can expect some shifts ahead. The family must take a strategic approach to managing their assets and ongoing commitments." This exchange captivated my attention. Wade exuded confidence, radiating an undeniable sense of authority. He was completely unaware that he was attempting to lay claim to something that had never been his. "What type of modifications are we discussing?" Tom inquired. We must assess whether it's prudent to maintain operations or if liquidating assets and resolving any outstanding debts would be the more advantageous route. Wade spoke in a laid-back manner, as if he were casually chatting about lunch options. Understood. Who is behind these decisions? Wade blinked, caught off guard by the unexpected question. Naturally, it's all about the family. I will take charge of Dad's business affairs from now on. Are you ready to take action now? Tom's tone was deliberately even, yet I noticed a subtle stress on the word you. Mom, maybe you should brew some fresh coffee, Wade suggested, brushing me aside as he often did during significant discussions. Tom and I need to go over some technical details. Yet, I remained still. After years of wavering, I finally held my ground. I appreciate the offer, but I'll remain here, thank you. Welcome to my kitchen, where Tom is enjoying his time as my guest. Wade's expression shifted to one of surprise, yet he simply shrugged it off. All right, Tom, please prepare a comprehensive inventory of all equipment, vehicles, and current contracts. I will require access to the business accounts to evaluate the financial situation effectively. I'd be delighted to assist with that, Tom replied thoughtfully. Whom should I connect with to obtain authorization for account access? Clearly it's with me, and you possess the legal authority to access Henderson Construction accounts because Wade's confidence faltered just a bit. I am the son and heir of Noel Henderson. Understood. Could you please provide documentation that confirms your authorization to act on behalf of the business? The kitchen was enveloped in silence, broken only by the rhythmic ticking of the antique clock perched above the sink. Wade's face flushed with color, revealing his internal battle between irritation and uncertainty. Listen, Tom, it seems you might be missing the point here, Wade remarked, his voice adopting that familiar condescending tone he reserved for moments of challenge. This is not an aggressive acquisition. I'm working on organizing Dad's affairs to ensure that everyone is looked after. However, I won't be able to proceed if you're going to complicate matters. I'm not trying to complicate matters, Tom responded calmly. I'm simply seeking clarity on who I should be receiving instructions from. Wade looked to me for support, as his father had been very clear about the importance of proper procedures and documentation. Mom, please let Tom know that I'm now taking care of Dad's business affairs. I gazed at my son, the very man intent on selling my house without my consent, who had racked up nearly $90,000 in debt while asserting that his father left him with nothing, and I made my decision. Wade, I believe Tom is justified in requesting the necessary documentation, I said softly. Your father consistently exercised caution regarding these matters. Wade looked at me in disbelief, as though I had sprouted a second head. What do you mean by that? I'm referring to ensuring that all matters are managed correctly and in accordance with the law. I'm sure you recognize how crucial that is. For the first time since this conversation started, Wade appeared uncertain, and as I observed that uncertainty wash over his features, I felt a sensation I hadn't encountered in years. Strength. It was 7 a.m. when the phone rang, just 3 days following my intense encounter with Wade in the kitchen. I had anticipated it. Challenging someone's presumed authority often comes with repercussions, particularly when that individual is accustomed to having things go their way. Mom, we should have a conversation. At this moment, Wade's voice was laced with a simmering intensity, barely holding back his anger. Romy and I will be stopping by. Isn't it a bit early for that? This is urgent. Expect us in just 20 minutes. The call abruptly cut off before I had a chance to reply. I savored the moment of getting dressed, selecting a navy blue dress that Noel had always claimed exuded dignity. If a confrontation was on the horizon, I was determined to meet it head-on and with purpose. They made their entrance precisely 20 minutes later, the sharp sound of Romy's heels echoing assertively on the front porch. I swung the door open just before they could knock, savoring the slight edge of being the hostess in my own space. Good morning, I remarked cheerfully, as though this were a friendly gathering. Romy stormed into the living room, her designer purse held tightly as if it were a shield. Wade trailed behind, his expression somber. Both of them stood firm, placing themselves strategically between me and the door, a clear display of intimidation. "Mom, I'm not sure what kind of game you believe you're playing," Wade started. "Yesterday, Tom Bradley reached out to inform me that he is unable to share business information without the necessary authorization." "What did you say to him?" I nestled into Noelle's beloved armchair, the one that offers the finest perspective of the room. I advised him to adhere to the established protocols. Your father likely anticipated that outcome. Are the procedures in place? Romy's voice pierced the air with a sharpness that caught everyone's attention. Wade is the son and rightful heir of Noel. What additional authorization could possibly be required? Official permission. I spoke with a calmness that reflects true ownership. Wade's gaze sharpened. "What do you mean?" "The will from Dad bequeaths all assets to the family. As the executor, I manage all assets until the probate process is complete." "Wade, I believe that's not entirely correct." I grabbed the folder I had set on the side table, the one filled with all the documents that Margaret Morrison had handed over to me. Wade and Romy both braced themselves as I pulled it open. "Your father's will clearly designates his personal belongings and this house to the family," I pressed on. "However, Henderson Construction is not included in his estate. It has been 5 years since then." "What do you mean by that?" Wade insisted. I retrieved the trust documents and placed them on the coffee table that sat between us. Since 2019, the Henderson Construction Trust has proudly owned Henderson Construction. I hold the exclusive benefit of that trust. The ensuing silence was overwhelming. Romy was the first to grab the documents, her perfectly manicured fingers trembling as she quickly scanned the legal jargon. Wade leaned in, his expression shifting to one of unease as he read over her shoulder. "This can't be happening," Romy whispered. "Your understanding of business is quite limited. You haven't even managed to balance a checkbook." "Absolutely, you're spot on. I did not. Your father took care of everything." It seems he grasped aspects of our family dynamics that I, in my naivety, overlooked. Wade collapsed onto the sofa, his legs seemingly surrendering beneath him. However, the business faced significant challenges. My father often remarked on the slim margins, emphasizing that there was hardly enough to sustain operations. The business has proven to be quite lucrative indeed, presenting the financial statements from the last 5 years. I passed him another set of papers. Observing Wade's expression as he absorbed the numbers felt akin to witnessing a master strategist uncovering the game, while others remained blissfully unaware of the true stakes. "These gains," Wade's voice was a mere whisper. "Where has this money disappeared to?" "A portion of it was directed to you, Wade. There's a significant amount, to be honest. I retrieved the loan documentation. To be exact, that's $87,000 spread over a span of 5 years. Romy snatched the loan papers, her eyes darting over the pages in a frenzy. "These indicate loans. Wade, you mentioned that those were gifts. Your father mentioned he would assist us in getting established." Wade remarked that they were gifts. However, his voice fell short of conviction. Dad never requested any payments. Payment schedules were never even brought up by him. "Indeed, he did," I replied softly. "Margaret Morrison possesses records of every conversation, every missed payment, and every instance where your father opted to extend the terms instead of insisting on repayment." I observed the moment when the weight of their circumstances started to dawn on them. Wade constructed his financial future on the belief that his father's generosity would persist without end. He likely leveraged those expectations, committing to obligations based on funds he believed were his own. "But this doesn't change anything," Romy exclaimed suddenly, her voice tinged with desperation.
The property ultimately belongs to Wade. That holds greater value than a small construction company. Is it really? I inquired gently. Romy's eyes sparkled with a mix of fury and fear. Stop with the games, Myrtle. This property holds a value of no less than $400,000. Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. This property is truly delightful. Naturally, we must address the issue of the mortgage. Wade's gaze snapped upward. Which mortgage are you referring to? My father mentioned that the house is fully paid off. It certainly was. However, 18 months ago, your father secured a significant home equity loan. I retrieved the last set of documents, the ones I had unearthed in Noel's study just yesterday, meticulously organized in a folder labeled Emergency Funds. I proceeded with a home equity loan for $350,000. The funds were deposited into the Henderson Construction Trust account, signifying their inclusion in my inheritance. Romy's complexion drained of color.
That can't be done. We would have been aware. We would have needed to sign. I interjected, noting that your father was the sole owner of the house at that time. I was designated as a spouse, with rights of survivorship, yet not recognized as a co-owner. He required no one else's approval. Wade gazed at the loan documents as if they were inscribed in an unfamiliar tongue. What could possibly motivate him to take this action? What would motivate him to mortgage the house solely to fund a business account? For the first time since this conversation started, I let my meticulously managed emotions reveal themselves. Wade was looking out for me. He was committed to ensuring that regardless of the circumstances, my financial security was guaranteed. What exactly are we safeguarding you from? Wade's voice carried a raspy quality. I gestured to the scene before me and said, "From this, being cast out of my own home by family who viewed me as a burden rather than as an individual, left with nothing as others seized what they believed was rightfully theirs." Romy's calm facade shattered at last. You played him like a puppet. You inspired a man on the brink of death to transform his entire life. Your father established these trusts long before he faced any health issues, Romy. He was strategizing. The very act of planning for this scenario speaks volumes about his perception of our family dynamics. Wade's hands trembled as he placed the papers on the table. Mom, I'm confident we can find a solution together. Running a construction business might not be your true desire. This residence is the heart of our family. It ought to remain within the family. It's remaining within the family, Wade. It's here to stay. But the mortgage payments, Romy exclaimed, her voice tinged with desperation. What strategies do you have in place to manage your mortgage payments, just as your father envisioned, generating revenue through Henderson Construction? Tom Bradley confidently assures me that the business is in a strong and stable position. Margaret Morrison assures that the cash flow will comfortably handle the loan payments, leaving ample funds for my living expenses. I rose, adjusting my dress with care. I recall you bringing up the topic of moving out, right? I believe that's still a fantastic idea. While it may not be my path, I have no doubt you'll discover a beautiful place to begin anew. Wade gazed at me as though he was encountering me anew. Mom, you must be joking, considering all that Dad has done for you and the significance of our family. I interrupted, saying, "Your father truly did everything for me. He cared for me deeply, ensuring that I would never find myself at the mercy of anyone, not even my own son. Now I truly grasp the extent to which I required that safeguard." Romy stood at the door, her expression a mix of fury and incredulity. "The story isn't finished yet, Myrtle. We will stand our ground and confront this challenge head-on. We will challenge every aspect." "I'm absolutely not allowing you to do that to me." Once they departed, I found myself alone in the unexpected stillness of my home, and felt a sensation I hadn't encountered in decades. For the first time in years, I found myself fully financially independent. I was free from obligations, and my possessions were secure from anyone's grasp. Noel had offered me more than just financial support. He granted me liberation. Half a year later, I found myself on the deck of my new oceanfront cottage, captivated by the morning sun as it brushed golden strokes across the Pacific. The rhythmic crash of waves against the rocks below had transformed into my daily symphony, taking the place of the familiar creaks and settling noises of the old house. The Mendocino cottage may have been cozier than the family home, but it was completely my own. Each piece of furniture and every decorative choice in my home showcases my unique taste, free from the compromises that often accompany 32 years of marriage. To my astonishment, I found that my taste was impeccable when no one else was weighing in. Under Tom Bradley's leadership, Henderson Construction flourished and achieved remarkable success. Every Friday afternoon, he reached out to provide updates on current projects and upcoming contracts, while quarterly profits were seamlessly deposited into my account. I fulfilled my commitment to uphold the business just as Noel had designed it, and the sense of stability brought a noticeable happiness to everyone involved. The cottage was a delightful surprise waiting to be found. During my exploration of coastal California properties, I discovered that Noel acquired it 3 years prior via the construction trust. While organizing business assets, Margaret Morrison discovered the deed accompanied by a note in Noel's handwriting intended for Myrtle's retirement, an invitation to embrace ocean air and a life free from schedules. Even in his passing, my husband continued to look after me. This morning held a unique charm. My attorney was stopping by to wrap up the final details of my previous chapter. Wade and Romy made a concerted effort to challenge the trust arrangements, enlisting the services of a high-priced attorney renowned for expertise in elder law and financial exploitation cases. Their experience had not been favorable. The investigation uncovered that Noel's financial arrangements were not only entirely legal and executed flawlessly, but also that Wade's debt to the business was, in fact, greater than anyone had previously estimated. The total has climbed to just over $96,000 due to interest and penalties. At precisely 10 o'clock, the doorbell chimed. James Patterson, unrelated to Helen from the bank, was a man of precision who held the belief that punctuality was a true reflection of one's character. Since the very start of this ordeal, he has been my representative, and his composed expertise has proven to be essential during the most challenging times. "Good morning, Myrtle," he said, easing into the cozy chair by the window that had become his go-to spot during our meetings. "Please find the final settlement agreement ready for your review." I poured coffee from the French press I had mastered, a delightful little freedom in my new life, and took a seat across from him. What was their approach to the final terms? James wore an expression that hinted at a measured amusement, just as one might anticipate. Wade's attorney dedicated significant effort to asserting that family responsibilities should take precedence over business agreements. However, the law remains unequivocal regarding debt obligations. He presented me with the settlement documents. Following 6 months of legal negotiations, Wade and Romy reached an agreement that recognized the total debt and outlined a payment plan designed to span 8 years, contingent on their commitment to timely payments. Once again, they attempted to negotiate a family forgiveness clause, James continued. Wade truly became emotional in the final meeting, asserting that you were jeopardizing your relationship with your only son for the sake of money. So, what did you share with them? I emphasized that my role was to advocate for your financial interests, rather than to navigate your family dynamics. While I may have noted that the majority of mothers don't need to take legal action against their children to recover valid debts, the settlement also featured a clause that brought me considerable satisfaction. If Wade and Romy fail to meet their payment obligations, the business has the legal right to garnish Wade's wages and impose liens on any property they acquire. It served as a protective measure, guaranteeing that I would obtain what was rightfully mine, no matter their upcoming financial choices. "There's one more thing," James said as he produced a separate envelope. "Your package arrived yesterday." The envelope bore Wade's unmistakable handwriting. A simple note on unadorned paper awaited inside. "Mom, I realize you might not be ready to forgive me for our disagreement, but I want you to know that I've come to understand Dad's perspective. It was only after losing nearly everything that I truly recognized how much I had overlooked. Romy and I are pursuing marriage counseling, and I'm juggling 2 jobs to keep up with the payment plan. I look forward to the possibility of reconnecting and having a conversation with you again in the future. I sincerely apologize for all that has transpired. Wade." With precision, I folded the letter and placed it gently aside. The sincerity of the apology was unmistakable. However, it came 6 months too late and was driven more by repercussions than by a sense of morality. "Is there a message you'd like me to pass along?" James inquired. "Absolutely not. If Wade is serious about mending our relationship, he should approach it with the same commitment he shows in settling his debts, step by step, steadily, and with patience." Once James departed, I stepped out onto the deck with my coffee and revisited Wade's letter. The sorrow lingered, not only for Noel, but also for the son I had envisioned raising, and the family bonds I had once thought were genuine. Yet beneath the sorrow lay a powerful sense of fulfillment, a profound contentment in knowing I had defended myself when it truly counted. The sudden ring of my phone broke through my train of thought. The caller ID displayed an unfamiliar number, yet there was an intriguing sense of familiarity about it. "Greetings. Excuse me, Mrs. Henderson, I'm Linda Morrison, the daughter of Margaret. I trust you won't mind my reaching out. I recalled Linda, a nurse employed at the regional hospital. During our meetings, Margaret brought her up from time to time. Absolutely not, my dear. How may I assist you today? Actually, it's about how you could assist us. Mom shared your story with me about how you had to reconstruct your life following some family challenges. I'm launching a support group for women who have faced financial manipulation from family members, and I would love to hear if you would be open to sharing your experience." I was taken by surprise by the request. I'm uncertain about what to express. Many women often discover they share similar experiences. Entitled "Adult Children Expecting Their Parents' Wealth, Spouses Concealing Financial Truths, and Family Members Who Confuse Generosity with Vulnerability," your experience has the power to empower other women, guiding them to recognize their rights and inspiring them to stand strong in their self-defense. As I paused to reflect, my gaze was drawn to a pelican gracefully plunging into the bay, searching for its next meal. Half a year ago, I found myself a grieving widow, confronting the threat of homelessness due to my own son. Today, I embraced financial independence, residing in the exact place of my dreams, answerable solely to myself. "What time works best for you for me to speak?" I inquired. "Is that so? Are you ready to take that step?" "I believe I will, but my focus won't be on revenge or legal disputes. Let's explore the distinction between being a caring family member and being taken advantage of. It's crucial to grasp your own financial landscape. I'll also share the invaluable gift Noel provided by safeguarding my future, even in the face of challenges from our own son. The speaking engagement has been set for next month." Once the call ended, it struck me that guiding other women through similar challenges was not just a calling, but a tribute to both Noel's safeguarding and my own fiercely earned autonomy. That evening, I engaged in a ritual I had begun to embrace each night since settling into the cottage. As I settled onto my deck with a glass of wine in hand, I took a moment to soak in the sunset, relishing the serene beauty of the view before me. This tranquility, this sense of freedom, was a treasure that belonged solely to me. No one can take this from me. No one has the power to remove me from my own existence. No one had the authority to deem me disposable. The cottage exuded tranquility, with only the soothing rhythm of the ocean and the faint calls of seabirds preparing for nightfall breaking the silence. Tomorrow, I'll immerse myself in my garden, perhaps take a drive into town for a delightful lunch at the charming bistro where the owner always reserves my favorite table by the window. Delightful joys that were solely mine. Wade's debt would be settled in due time, regardless of whether he handled it wisely or the business resorted to garnishing his wages. The legal settlement guaranteed that justice would prevail, irrespective of his decisions, yet the true triumph transcended monetary gains. I had discovered the power within me to assert the respect I rightfully earned. As the final rays of sunlight slipped away, I lifted my glass in a quiet tribute to Noel, no matter where he might be. He cared for me deeply, ensuring I would never find myself helpless or reliant on the whims of those who viewed me as disposable. His love was evident in the way he prepared me, guaranteeing that when the challenge arose, I would possess all the tools necessary to succeed. The ocean engaged in its timeless dialogue with the shore, while I found myself at home on my deck, embracing my life, and at last grasping the true essence of freedom. It signified the end of pleading for a seat at a table that was rightfully mine. It symbolized tranquility. I'm intrigued to know more about you, the one who tuned into my story. If you found yourself in my situation, what actions would you take? Have you ever experienced anything like this? Share your thoughts in the comments. In the meantime, I'm showcasing 2 other stories on the final screen that are beloved by our channel, and they are sure to surprise you. We appreciate you sticking around until this point. That's it for today's story. If you found it moving, don't forget to share the video with your friends and family. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.